At 9:45 p.m. on September 23, 2019, Paulo Ramos, brother of the victim, reported that Edgar Ramos, 31 years of age, a government employee of Makati City, was shot dead by his neighborhood, namely George Lafayette, a 30 years of age, a government employee of Makati City, and a childhood friend of the victim. Upon initial investigation, the investigator found out that the cause of the murder is about the jealousy of the suspect because according to his statement, he found his wife having an affair with a childhood friend, which is why he plans to kill the victim as a form of his revenge. The doctor confirms dead on arrival at 10:10 p.m. due to the loss of blood, and additionally, the forensic ballistic examiner will investigate and identify the shooter's distance from the victim and where the suspect can be located. And now, let's talk about the background information. First, the investigator will measure how many feet gunshot hole is above the ground. Second, the investigator will pinpoint where the bullet originated and measure the distance from two reference points. Third, the investigator will measure the horizontal distance from the shattered window to the bullet hole and compare this distance to the length of the bullet through from the hole of the car's window to the bullet hole. The next presenter will show the bullet trajectory examination by the forensic ballistic examiner.
So now, we will proceed to the examination procedures on the crime of the shooting incident that was being reported at the Makati City Police Station. So we, as the forensic ballistic examiners, conducted an investigation by using the bullet trajectory examination to solve the crime of the shooting incident. By using this examination, we were able to examine the crime scene by formulating and calculating the gathered evidences from the shooting incident. So based from the background information of the first presenter, we, as the forensic ballistic investigators, we will measure how many feet the gunshot hole is above the ground. We will also attempt to pinpoint where the bullet originated and measure the distance from the two reference places. Moreover, we will also measure the horizontal distance from the shattered windows to the bullet hole and compare this distance to the length of the bullet's route from the hole in the car's window to the bullet hole. So based on the result of the bullet trajectory examination, we were able to calculate the projectile's flight path to the victim, to the object, and determine where the shooter and the location of the suspect based on the crime scene examination. So based from the results of our examination, ito po yung mga different distance that we were able to determine by using the bullet trajectory on the shooting incident. So first, we were able to determine the distance from the car to the house where the muzzle flash ng gun is nakita, which is 540 inches. So from dito naman po sa second figure, we were able to determine the entrance wound or the bullet hole on the victim, which is 48 inches above the ground. So for the third figure, we were able to determine the distance along the path of the bullet to the window, which is 19.6 inches. And lastly, the distance along the horizon to the window, which is 19.1 inches. So this examination result based on the bullet trajectory examination will help us as a source of information of the shooting incident and also as a source of information to formulate and calculate the shooting incident in order to find the shooter or the distance to the shooter, the height of the shooter from the horizon, and also to identify where the bullet was fired from.
As a forensic ballistic examiner, hahanapin natin dito ang distance to shooter at ang gagamitin nga nating formula ay ang distance to window over distance along horizon equals distance to shooter over distance to the house equals distance is placed in inches. So, 19.6 inches, which is our distance to window, na kung saan nahanap natin to or nakita natin to or na-measure natin to sa investigation. Over 19.1 inches, which is our distance along horizon na nahanap din natin at na-measure sa investigation. Equal C, which is the distance to shooter na kung saan ito nga yung hinahanap natin. Over 540 inches, which is our distance to the house na nahanap rin natin sa investigation natin. So, ang mangyayari dito is gagamit tayo ng cross multiplication, which is 19.6 inches, the distance to window, multiply by 540 inches, our distance to the house, equals 10,584 inches. So, after nating mag-multiply, i-divide naman natin siya. So, 10,584 inches divided by 19.1 inches, which is our distance along horizon. So, the answer will be 554.14 inches at yun na yung magiging sagot natin sa distance to shooter.
Now we're going to look for the distance of the shooter from the horizon. We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem formula for solving hypotenuse. So it would be hypotenuse squared, or C, equals A squared plus B squared. C is equals to the distance of the shooter, which is 554.14 inches based on calculation using distance versus drop. A is equals to the distance to the house, which is 540 inches according to the investigation. B is what we're looking for, which is the distance of the shooter from the horizon, not from the ground. So it would be 554.14 inches squared equals 540 inches squared. So 554.14 inches squared is equivalent to 307,071.14 inches, and 540 inches squared is equivalent to 291,600 inches. Now, to find the B, or the distance of the shooter from the horizon, we are going to subtract them. 307,071.14 inches squared minus 291,600 inches squared is equals to 15,471.14 inches squared. And the square root of 15,471.14 is equals to 124.38 inches, or 10.37 feet. So, the B, or the distance of the shooter from the horizon, is 124.38 inches, or 10.37 feet. After calculation of distance versus drop, we are able to find out the distance of the shooter, which is 554.14 inches. And using Pythagorean theorem formula, we are able to find out the height of the shooter from the horizon, which is 124.38 inches, or 10.37 feet. Since one floor is usually equivalent to 10 feet, we conclude that the bullet was fired from the second floor, and the position of the shooter is in prone position.
So to sum it up, based on our investigation by using the bullet trajectory examination, we were able to identify the distance to the shooter, which is 554.14 inches, the height of the shooter from the horizon, which is 124.38 inches, or 10.37 if we convert it, and also we were also able to identify from where the bullet was fired from, which is from the second floor. So I am here again to discuss on how we were able to calculate and formulate the bullet trajectory from the victim, from the firer, and from the distance of the car from the house of the shooter. So, from the previous presentations po kanina, ang forensic ballistic examiners, pagdating pa lang nila sa crime scene, is they were able to examine these distances from the crime scene. So, from the car to the house is 540 inches, from the entrance wood, which is 48 inches, from the distance along the path of the bullet to the window is 19.6 inches, and the distance along the horizon to the window is 19.1 inches. So itong examination na to is mahalaga for the forensic ballistic examiners because ito po yung magiging daan para makalculate at ma-formulate yung bullet trajectory sa isang insidente gaya na nga ng shooting incident. It will lead us para mahanap yung shooter, yung distance ng shooter, at iba pang maaaring maging konektado sa kaso ng shooting incident. So, ang una nating hinanap kanina is the distance to the shooter. So, paano ba natin to nakuha? So, the calculation using distance versus drop. So, ang ginawa po natin ditong formula is the distance to window times distance to the house divided by distance along the horizon. So, saan natin to kinuha? So, dito natin siya kukuhain sa examination procedures on the crime scene investigation na kinonduct ng forensic ballistic examiners. So from the distance to window, which is 19.6, and the distance to the house, which is 540 inches, and the distance along the horizon, which is 19.1. So, paano natin siya gagawin? So, ang gagawin lang natin is 19.6 times 540 divided by 19.1 is equals to 554.14 inches. Ito yung hinahanap natin, which is the distance to the shooter. So, ang kasunod naman nating hinanap is the distance of the shooter from the horizon. So, anong formula ba ang ginamit natin dito? So, ang ginamit nating formula dito is the Pythagorean theorem, which is the hypotenuse squared C is equals to A squared plus B squared. So, ang una natin gagawin is kukuhain muna natin si letter C, which is the distance to the shooter, which is 554.14 inches squared is equals to 540 inches squared, which is represented by the letter A, which is the distance to the house is plus B squared. So, B squared lang ang nilagay natin kasi ito naman yung hinahanap natin dito sa pangalawa. So, ang kasunod natin gagawin pagkatapos gawin ito is we will get the squared of these two. So, 554.14 inches squared is equals to 307,071.14 inches squared. Same as 540 inches squared is equals to 291,600 inches squared plus B squared. So, ang kasunod naman natin gagawin is ipagmaminus lang natin itong dalawa, which is, ang result niya is 15,471.14 inches squared. So, ang kasunod naman natin gagawin, kukuhain naman natin ang square root ng 15,471.14 inches squared is equals to 124.38 inches or 10.37 feet if kinonvert natin siya into feet. So, ito yung height of the shooter from the horizon. So, pangatlo, paano naman natin nasabing nasa second floor? O na nasa second floor yung pinanggalingan ng bala. So, sabi kasi, ang isang floor is kalimitang merong 10 feet. So, ang isang floor is merong 10 feet. Kaya siya naging second floor kasi itong 10 feet na to is equal to 1 floor. So, itong 37 is equals to itong 37 na to is para siyang point lang pero nasa second floor na siya ayon sa investigation namin. And also, we were also able to identify the position of the shooter, which is naka-prone position siya. So, ito yung aming resulta. So, from the first pa lang, from the formula, which is the distance to window times distance to the house divided by distance along the horizon, you were able to get the distance of the shooter. And ang pangalawa, ginamitan natin siya ng Pythagorean theorem, which is hypotenuse squared, C is equals to A squared plus B squared. And we were able to identify the distance of the shooter from the horizon. And lastly, you were able to identify kung saan nanggaling yung bullet, which is from the second floor, and ang kanyang position is naka-prone position. Bakit? Kasi nga, ang isang floor is merong 10 feet, at itong sobra naman niya is nagma-maximize para sa second floor. So, the bullet was fired from the second floor, and the firer is in the position of the prone position.
Based on the examination results by the forensic ballistic examiners, the distance of the shooter to the victim is 554.14 inches. And based on the hypotenuse, the height of the shooter from the horizon is 124.38 inches or 10.37 feet. Base din po dito sa examination result ng forensic examiner, the bullet was fired from second floor. Kasi po ang height ng shooter from the horizon base sa result ay 10.37 feet. Kaya ang kada floor lang po ng isang building ay may taas lang ng 10 feet. Kaya po lumalabas dito na nasa second floor ang shooter na maaaring na-prone position. Dahil lumampas ng konti ang height ng shooter sa nasabing taas ng kada floor ng building. Mayroon din pong nakita ang mga investigator na mga gunshot residue sa nasabing possible na pinestuhan ng shooter.